2nd of July. I'm going to be tipping out these potatoes that are in the compost comparison. So first of all, I'd like to thank everyone who supplied the compost for for putting it up to the comparison test to try the difference. I'm not saying there's anything good or bad about them. It's been a tricky season because it's been hot. So there's been certain elements that have been challenging. But first of all, for B&Q, they supplied a good variety of composts for me to try out. Some I've tried before, and a couple of new ones I haven't. And there's Jamieson's who've supplied a multi-purpose compost. It's kind of a more high-end little compost. And then obviously Scriven's Landscape Supplies. They've supplied me with some topsoil and green waste this year. So all the links for all the composts that are used in this will be in the description below, as with all the weights. And probably on the screen somewhere, I'll put somewhere near the end when I do the weigh-in, I'll list the weights on the screen for those who are watching on a TV, because obviously if you're on a tablet or a computer, you can access the description easier and leave comments and things like that. But also in the description will be different ways you can support the channel, because it all goes, any sort of support I get goes back into the channel. It just helps me kind of do these sort of things really, and obviously try things out that are new to try and help any viewers that are new to gardening, and even some of the older ones who are more experienced than I am. We never stop learning, but doing things like this, it expands your options a little bit, and obviously within this challenge as well, there's my own compost. Because it's only fair, I've got to put it in, it's just kitchen scraps. They've had no feed, if I can remember. I've not fed any of these. They've been watered pretty much the same, bar from a couple that really suffered in the dry spell. They really wilted, so I had no option. But things you've got to pay in mind are some of them are more fibrous content and some are more like a loamy soil. So you have to be careful. The more soily ones, if you water them too much, you can rot the potatoes off. And the other ones, they require a lot of water because they dry out regular. So I've tried to keep everything a happy medium. But obviously some of the ones at the soil base, I was lifting the pots and they were pretty heavy and they were damp at the bottom, where some of the more fibrous ones, you'd put them in water and they float away, they were that light. But that's just part and parcel. It's finding that good mixture. Since we've all gone peat free, it's going to be challenging, I think, to find that sort of same sort of thing again. But like I say, you can grow potatoes in the ground. They seem to do okay in the ground. But this, just because these are potatoes in pots, it will apply to probably most plants that you do in pots, that they will need watering. And if you try a new compost, it might be more water retentive or less water retentive than you've tried before. So you just got to pay that in mind. So I'll cut all the tops off and I'll clear it, because I've mulched them with some straw just to try and keep some moisture in, and then I'll tip them out and we'll see how we get on. So we'll get on with that. Right, I've just got a few more to clear up. So these have probably had pretty much 90 days. I think it's about 3rd of April they went in. I would like to have given them a little bit longer, but they just don't look like they're going to do any more now. The tops are dying back. They've got like damage from pests and insects and that, so it's just, like I say, it's just a test. Whether they've had long enough or not, they should all sort of provide the results still. Some could have a few potatoes, some might have 1 or 2 big ones, or there could be a lot of rotten mushy ones, but this is how we find out. Luckily all my tags are still in, but be careful when I'm pulling the straw out, I don't grab them. But yeah, straw's handy for mulching. I would say it's better off if you mow it down a bit finer. You could use hay, but it's full of weed seeds. Grass clippings, we use them if you don't, as long as you don't put them on too thick. It's just a way to prevent some evaporation, moisture loss. I found with some of the soily ones, they might be dry on top, but they hold the water at the bottom, and these are still quite wet at the bottom. So I do worry that some of the soil-based ones might rot, some of the lower potatoes. But we shall find out. So yeah, it's just B&Q supplied the seed potatoes, which are Charlottes. They're in 12 litre pots. They're not full, so there's probably about 10 litres of compost in them. So I think we're all cleared now. This is just a pot. This is all compost, all your tops and everything. Anything you want to discard, compost it. You know, you could put all your spent compost into a bin and mix it with some stuff that you want to rot down. Little ladybird there. Lift him off and pop him somewhere. So we'll move the camera and we'll start revealing. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right, I'm going to, just before I start tipping them out, I've got a piece of timber here with all the different composts on it, so I can write the weights down. So I'll go through the ones we've got again. We've got Scrivens, which is just topsoil, a little bit of compost mixed in with it already. That's how they sell it. Then you've got their own green waste, which is what is mixed into the topsoil. And then you've got the verve. I've got 2 types of verve. They were supplied by different distributors. So the lady at B&Q runs a gardening section. She asked me to try the 2 different ones out to see if there's any difference. There is a difference in feel and texture and weight, believe it or not. So they are very different. So it'll be good to see the results. Then we've got the Westlands John Innes number 3 mature compost. My own compost. Jamieson's multi-purpose compost. We've got Westlands veg planting soil. Then we've got Westlands multi-purpose, including John Innes, which is a popular one. I like that one. And then we've got Verve Type 2, different Verve. Then I've got a mix here because I had some called I had the vegetable planting soil or the flower planting soil. So I had a bit of each left, so I mixed the 2 together. So I thought, right, we'll see how that gets on. So like I said, I've got a big list of everything here to try out, and then we'll see what the weights are. I've got a little fishing tripod set up with some scales and a bucket that's all been set to 0. So we'll get them tipped out and we'll weigh them as we go along, and I'll make a note of the weights. So we'll go through, we'll start from how I started them. So you've got the Westlands plant and Westlands flower soil. That was mixed 50-50, got 9 ounces from that. The Verve Type 2, £1.6 ounce. Westlands multi-purpose with John Innes, £1.4 ounce. Westlands veg planting soil was 9 ounce, so very same reading as the other one. Then you got the Jamieson's multi-purpose compost, £1.8 ounce. My own compost was £1.6 ounce. The Westlands John Innes mature, that's John Innes number 3. It's a mature plant one, that's £1.1 ounce. The Verve Type 1, I've got £1.4 ounces. And then we've got the Scrivens Green Waste, which is £1.3, and then the Scrivens Topsoil of £1.7 ounces. So, yeah, there's some clear ones there. I think this Westland planting soil and the actual Westlands number 3 John Innes are quite low. But the worst one, obviously, the veg planting soil and the flower planting soil, 9 ounces. I can't sort of excuse that. It's just that's poor performance, considering they've all been treated the same. You know, the other ones, you know, within ounces, 4 or 5 ounces. You know, the upper ones are all within 1 ounce, 2 ounces, and then, you know, you've got £1.4 to £1.8. So you've got 4 ounces in it, which isn't much, you know. You know, a potato maybe, but they're all kind of, I'd say, yeah, you could use any of them. But these ones that have performed quite poor, I wouldn't recommend them. Off this, you know, other scenarios, different environment, different weather conditions might be great, but just for this sort of situation and for this particular compost reveal, been poor. So like I say, I'll put all the weights in the description below with links to all the composts. Any discount codes will be in there as well. But yeah, overall, not brilliant reveal at all for that amount of compost. If you had to buy all that, if I had to buy all that compost, I'd be a bit disappointed, to be honest. For the time, you know, for watering and the space you take up, you'd be much better growing something else in the pots. Onions, you know, courgettes, tomatoes even, you know. Because tomatoes, even if you have a bad tomato plant, you get some tomatoes. Tomatoes are a lot dearer. But for potatoes, you know, I am leaning more towards growing in the ground full time now. Pots still have the place, but like I said, they just need to get this mix sorted out, back how it used to be a little bit regarding, the peat. Obviously, they're not going to bring peat back into it, I don't think, but it needs something of structure in there that holds water but drains well and holds nutrients. But we'll just have to see how that pans out, because obviously compost is a money-making business. So as long as they're making money, they'll think it's good to go. But if you've any discrepancies with any compost companies, I think now's the time to voice your opinions. But like I say, I mean, a lot of these, you kind of say, pound 5 ounce a year, you kind of that's all right. Because if you did, if you got £1.50, like the Jamiesons, if I had a 30-litre pot, I'd get £5.5, £6 out of that pot, which is okay, and it's good for your meals. But for the price of the compost, it's still arguable, and you think, well, new potatoes, they are quite expensive to buy anyway, but if you're growing main croppers, get main croppers in a big sack quite cheap. They've just been grown in soil, so like I say, it's each their own. I'm not going to favour any of these, because I could do this exact same ones next year and have completely different results, like it's proved with the Westlands Mature. Well, Westlands number 3, Johnny's Mature one, 2 years ago. It was the winner of the spuds by a fair bit, I think. This year, it's kind of, well, you've got joint lowest, and then that's next, so not great. But never mind. Yeah, so that's it for the composts. No more reveals. Like I say, I might use them for something, or I might just mix them all together and put them in compost bin and just let the worms come in. Put a bit of green stuff in there and let worms come in and mix it about, and then use it to amend the soil. That's always a good thing to use compost for, is amend your soil. And I could throw all this back in there with it, and all that could get, worms will come in and mix all that in. So it's not a complete waste or anything. It all goes back in, because you've got to give back. So that's it for this year on the compost challenge anyway, or the comparisons. Like I say, it's completely up to you. This is just my opinion of this. And my biggest opinion that I would agree on is, if you've got the space, make your own compost. To keep the budget down, still buy some and mix it, that's fine. If you can make enough to support yourself, be self-sufficient, then great. But if not, try and keep the budget down by making some. Well, even if it's just a couple of bucketfuls, you'd be surprised. It's definitely worth it. Off this, my homemade compost, it's just kitchen scraps, trimmings off, carrot tops, all that sort of stuff thrown in. Turn it once in a while, and then give it a few months to sort of settle down, and then use it. And it's cost you nothing, and you've not wasted anything by throwing it in a council bin and it goes away to be recycled and sold back to you. So your own compost is a complete win in all aspects. But like I say, if you can't make enough of it, then obviously it's fine to buy some in. Just keep the budget down and just find one that works for you. Could be whatever's worse for me here, could be the best one for you. So thanks for watching. Take care, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.